Boop. And this one. Whoa. Hi everybody, Matt Geary for the Geek Pride cast on this Sunday afternoon, or Sunday evening even, sorry. My dog's just wandered in with half a shark in his mouth and he's looking at me strangely. But yes, this evening we have two of our regular nerds with us. We've got Jon Jo Cosgrove.
Hello everybody.
And as always, we've got Peter Ray Allison.
I'm a geek, not a nerd.
Oh, okay. What is the difference? What if
the general difference is that nerds are into science and mathematics, geeks are into gaming and science fiction.
Okay.
That's the general differentiation between the two. I mean, my wife and I say keeps calling each other geeks and nerds. But yeah, that's the general difference between the two.
Nerds considered more academic.
Yeah.
Oh, okay, so geek is a cultural thing, whereas nerds are more sort of intellectual, if you will.
Yeah. That's a fair summation.
But then, I guess a good majority of nerds can be considered geeks as well.
Oh yeah,
really.
There's crossover between the two. I mean, my wife is both into science and mathematics and also into Star Trek, so she's both a geek and a nerd. It's just
she's a GERD or a neek.
A GERD.
You can say that to Curly, not me. I'm not that brave enough.
Is she a fierce woman, your wife?
Curly is lovely, beautiful, incredibly intelligent. But if you get on the wrong side of her,
listening to the podcast,
trying to watch his words just in case.
No, genuinely, no. I mean, Curly is a lovely person, and I'm really lucky to have her. But if you get on the wrong side of her, woe betide you. It is a losing battle.
Woe betide you. I love your phrases, man.
Oh yeah.
My dog's decided that today, at this moment in time, is a time that he wants to play. So he's got his little shark. I don't say little shark; it's a big shark, and he's deciding he wants to play tug of war now. And what's going to happen when I don't play with him? He's going to start squeaking at it, and it's just going to be a pain in the ass. Oh, woe is me to have a big bear dog. So yes, gents, what have we been up to in the last week? I know what me and Pete have been up to in the last week, but what about you, Jon Jo? What have you been up to?
Do you know, I've been getting through as stated before, my video game backlog, and at the same time buying new video games because, you know, I am that crazy, and I then go, right, so I've got 12, 15, 18, 20 odd games now to complete. This week, the only Nintendo game that we're aware of for the rest of this year or going forward at all, Paper Mario, the Origami King, which I'm about 5 hours into it so far. It's pretty fun. I've never played one of the Paper Mario games. I've always been told they've got a good sense of humor. They're very wacky. They've got very RPG style elements to them, and it's fun. It is quite enjoyable. The dialogue has actually been quite funny. The gameplay at times is a little bit stale and repetitive, and one of the major things compared to a lot of RPGs, this game doesn't have any real experience building. So as you're going along, it's not like, you know, you win a battle while you level up. No, you could basically just avoid the majority of battles. You'd still pretty much do just as well after your first as you would after your 100th, which is a bit weird, I think.
Would it say it kind of trains you in terms of player experience rather than character experience?
Yeah, I think what it does as well is because there's two styles of game, and it's on this. It's a very weird setting. It's kind of like in one level when you're just playing, when you're fighting against minions, you're kind of a. Okay.
Sorry, it was the dog. he just came up to me and just sort of looked at me and went. Burp, burp.
Hashtag damn it, Boz.
Sorry.
That's all right. No, because there's two styles of gaming. There's one. It was all on this like wheel kind of contraption, which is very unique. I think it's quite good. One part you're in the middle against the minions, and they're all around the thing. You've got to try and obviously slide it into position. So if you're going to do an attack, if you can do it in a line, then you can attack all four in one go instead of like doing 4 different attacks. If you can bunch them together, you can do like one like big attack. And then the boss battles are really good because you're then outside the circle. The boss is actually in the middle of the circle, so you've got to try and arrange yourself, go around, and it's like it gives this like there's arrows, there's little power ups, there's little items, and yeah, it's weird. It's I think it took me about a good 3 hours to really appreciate the game, but I think after I'd done the first boss battle, I was like, yeah, this is pretty good. It's definitely a fun game, and I think from what I've heard, the game is around about 25 to 30 hours long. So I've got plenty of time to go on it. The only thing for me is, I mean, Nintendo Switch, I think of this generation is my favorite console at the moment, and I'm very worried that as of now, we have no idea when any actual Nintendo games are coming out. We know obviously Nintendo, PlayStation and Xbox obviously got their big presentations coming up. They're going to be having their new consoles out at the end of the year. Fair enough, but come on, Nintendo, what is happening with you guys? Why haven't you actually just said, even just say, oh, we're doing a re-release of the Metroid Prime trilogy. Oh, how about because it's the 35th anniversary of Mario? Oh yes, we're going to re-release the classic Mario 3D titles. Or just give us something. There must be some. I know I understand everything's going on in the world right now, but there's got to be something coming forward, and I'm very surprised that we don't know.
Do you think Nintendo have a place in modern console sort of? The modern console market. I personally think they've been struggling for a while, and I just don't know if games wise it just seems Nintendo had Nintendo are obviously an iconic brand, but they're not overly innovative, and they've sort of
I disagree with console. I think that's very innovative because the idea of having a games console you can either take on the go or play on your TV, I think is very innovative. I get what you mean, though.
I think innovative was the wrong word. Imaginative. I think. I appreciate that. Yeah, you're right. They do these things where it's a bit more sort of like. I think they understand that they are not going to win any battles when it comes to graphics and things like that. So, but it's when it comes to their games, they just seem to go. It's like this is Mario 500 and this is Super Mario 3D 560, and just.
Yeah, I think I get that to a degree. They do obviously depend on their big IPs, Mario, Zelda, that's always going to be the ones that are going to make them the money. But with the Switch, they have made some great choices this year. This last few years. Last year, you had Fire Emblem Three Houses. Now, I'd never played a Fire Emblem game before this one. But when Three Houses came along, saw the advertisement, I was like, yeah, I'll give it a go. And, it's turn-based strategy. It's a really fun game, and it's a game that you can play. Literally, given the name of it, you can play it 3 times over and you'll get 3 different experiences. You get to take in these stories, you get to really get involved with these characters. And there's not just that. Luigi's Mansion 3 was very fun and definitely one of the best looking games on the console as well. And then probably still my favourite game for a long time, Breath of the Wild, the Legend of Zelda game that was actually out, just over 3 years ago now. And it was just such a landmark in video gaming. And I understand, you have got PlayStation and Xbox that are going to blow in terms of graphics, in terms of that kind of gameplay. Yes, they're always going to win. But I think Nintendo does have a good market still. They can still really have a massive power and influence in the games industry. But I think with the Wii U, that really did cripple them. If you think they sold, in terms of the Wii U, in its 4.5-year life cycle, they sold around 12.5 million units. Now, put that into consideration, comparison. Over 100 million Wii consoles were sold. Right. And then they go on to the successor, the Wii U, and it sells not even a quarter. It's about an eighth of what that was. And then the Switch is on around about 60 million now, and that's after nearly 3.5 years. So they have had a big comeback. And I think the problem is because of how bad the Wii U was, a lot of companies kind of took their support away from the from Nintendo. They didn't want to really think, oh, are we going to give our IPs? Are we going to put our products onto something that isn't selling well? And I think that did have a massive impact. I think now things are starting to look a little bit better, but at times, as I said, Nintendo just seem to be very quiet on what their future plans are. There are games that we know are coming. There is a Metroid Prime 4, which is on its way. Bayonetta 3, which I cannot wait for. It's going to be such a good game when it does eventually come out, whenever that comes out. All I'll say is when it comes to Bayonetta or anything to do with Platinum Games, don't mess with Hideki Kamiya because he has blocked me on Twitter.
What did you do? What did you do?
Well, because I done a message once, like just basically just saying, oh, hi Hideki. I know you probably won't read this, but obviously for how long it's been, will we see an update on Bayonetta 3 soon? Which I thought was fairly innocent enough. And then someone was doing this chain message on Twitter saying, oh yeah, what would you like to see in terms of future for the Bayonetta franchise? And I thought, similar to like Hideo Kojima, he put himself into Metal Gear, and that was quite fun. And I said, oh, wouldn't it be great if Hideki Kamiya put himself into Bayonetta, maybe as one of the villains? And then like, an hour later, after just had this thing come out, it's like, oh, you've been blocked by Hideki Kamiya. It's like,
so slightly touchy then, maybe.
Yeah, well, he is. He's very well known for blocking people. He does not like anything being said about him, about his work, even people that maybe even not necessarily criticize him, but unless they're being like literally 100% kissing his ass, he'll be like, yep, block, 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 block. I swear, he's probably got more people blocked than he actually has following him at this moment. It's crazy.
I think there has to be a fine line when it comes to criticism and stuff. I appreciate if you're quite a famous person or you make sort of games and things like that. You have to be able to take certain things on the chin. Now, if somebody's trolling you all the time, then you can understand blocking.
That's a little bit different.
But if you're literally just off the cuff comments where you just don't like that, it's just like, come on, man.
But we have seen, especially, we're starting to see it in video games now as well. But if you look at the film industry over the last few years, the makers of these productions, they listen to the audience. They listen to their potential fans. I mean, we've seen it with Sonic the Hedgehog a few months ago. They literally, like, the internet ripped it apart originally. They're like, sorry, that's Sonic? That fucking thing? How? And then, it improved. They changed his design, and Sonic the Hedgehog was actually a pretty damn good film.
I still can't. It still upsets me to see Sonic the Hedgehog on Nintendo gaming systems. From a man, growing up with the sort of the Nintendo Sega wars of the sort of late 80s, early 90s and stuff. Me and my brother were very much in the Sega camp, and to see Sonic the Hedgehog, selling himself like a cheap whore to Nintendo, it's painful. It's very painful.
Yeah. Oh, I understand that. I mean, Sega was, the actual Mega Drive was one of my favorite consoles, and I played so much of it. But then Sega just, I don't know what happened with them. The Dreamcast I thought was a great console. They actually did have some great games on it as well. But then it just, they just went. And,
basically went up against Sony with the PlayStation, and it just couldn't compete. And everyone just went to the PlayStation, and it just, I think that was what really hammered them. Was the Dreamcast. Plus, it was just too soon around. Admittedly, we had the Xbox as well.
Yes,
which was a strong, but that had the backing of Microsoft that could really push it. So, but Dreamcast, I just don't think really had that full backing and support that it needed to push itself out there.
Never had a Dreamcast, to be honest. I had the Mega Drive, had the Mega CD, had the 32X. Didn't get the Saturn when it came out. I can't remember why. Oh, that's right, because my dad had, at that point in time, had got an actual PC. Like, at the time it was like PCs were just about sort of coming out for games and stuff, and so we were like on the PC, and we sort of moved to that. And then obviously Xbox and PlayStation and stuff came out. Had a little dabble with PlayStation 2 when it came out, and then when Xbox came into my life, and I never looked back.
No, that's fair. I think.
Sorry, guy. Will Tuning. Hopefully I've said your name right, man. Says and not to mention the Neo Genesis. Wow, yeah.
Oh yes, the Neo Geo.
Yeah.
The games console that promised so much and sadly didn't give that much at all.
Do you know, I had a thing, everybody's like the Neo Geo, and it was the Neo Geos always seemed to have like all the beat 'em ups and all this, like the sort of, it had
Fatal Fury, King of Fighters,
and I actually got you're not going to be able to, I'm not sure if you can see it on the camera or not, but like basically behind over there is like effectively like a Neo Geo sort of gaming pad thing with two sort of joysticks and stuff, and you can play all the Neo Geo games on it and stuff. So what was the one that you could play and you were like the soldier and you could like jump into tanks and things? A Metal Slug you can play that.
Oh yeah, that was pretty cool.
Metal Slug, yeah. It's like you go back to all these retro games and and I've got the, obviously, because it's effectively like a retro pie, isn't it? The games, and you go back to them, and in your mind you're like, these are the best games ever. Like I remember sort of loving the Aliens game, the arcade game, which is like basically Aliens.
Oh yeah.
And I was like, this was the best game ever when I was growing up, and I remember getting it, obviously playing it on that thing there, and kind of going, not as good as I remember it. It's like Altered Beast and stuff like that. You play Altered Beast, and it's like you can sort of do this little sort of like this little kick and this little punch, and then obviously you got your special powers and stuff. But then you're just like, there's not a lot to these games, is there?
but it's when a couple of years ago you had the Crash Bandicoot re-releases, they done the Insane Trilogy, and I remember first time I was playing it when it first came back out, and I was like, this doesn't look too different. But then I think you kind of have a nostalgia vision. You kind of think, this is just like how it was before. And then I dug out my copy of Crash Bandicoot 2 on the PlayStation 1, and I started playing that, and I was like, holy Jesus, that is definitely better than it was. It's like,
really? Have you got? Do you honestly think it's better than it was when you sort of first played it?
I think not in terms of gameplay. It's still pretty much the same, but it's how it looks. I think how they got it now on this new version that came out a couple of years ago. It looks like how I remember seeing it. Because you get this vision in your mind, and I think when you've not played the game for a while, you kind of, your memory might alter a little bit. You might see things a little bit differently. You might interpret them better than they probably presented. And even like Metal Gear Solid, sometimes I look back at that first Metal Gear Solid game and I think, Jesus, that's how it looked. It looks a state, but that was revolutionary back in 1998. That was the game that you had to have. That was the pure experience, and with that's how we got a lot of the cinematic like games that we get nowadays. And
do you remember the games you used to get, and you would get them on the Mega CD and stuff as well, and obviously it was mainly in the arcades because you had like light guns and stuff, but it was basically like film, and when you shot people on the screen, like if in the arcade it was generally like this big massive screen, and you had like a gun and you would shoot people, and we had I had one for the Mega CD, and I can't remember the name of it, but basically it was like a Western thing, but aliens had taken over the town. So you start off, I was kind of like, what's the film?
Cowboys and Aliens?
Yeah, kind of like that, but it's like you taking on a town, and it's starting off with cowboys and stuff, and then it turns to aliens afterwards. And there was another awesome one that like me, my brother and sister played all the time, called Sewer Shark, and it's like turn and burn dog meat, and it was awesome. Such a good game, but it was all like film stuff, and it was just like I kind of like those. And I was like, that's the future gaming, that is.
One thing I really miss, and I know obviously they're not completely gone, but I miss the general arcade. I love when you could go into an arcade, you could pick up, you had like maybe Time Splitters in one corner. You had like Dino Crisis in another. Used to have the silly football one, like you just kick the ball, and you also had the Dance Revolution game, which as a 15-year-old, when you're obviously of school age and you're with your mates, and then like you start hanging around with members of the opposite sex, and you're like, yes, I'm going to impress them. Now, how am I going to impress them? Oh, I'm going to master. What song have we got here? I'm going to master Shaggy. Yes, yes, because that's going to make me look so cool now. Yes, I forget it's 2003. But yeah, it was, and that's the thing. I loved the arcade. That was when I was growing up. That was what me and my friends used to do pretty much every weekend. We'd go to our shopping centre. It was literally right at the entrance, and that would be like 3 hours on a Saturday. We'd just be in there. We'd be playing games. We'd be having such good fun, and I miss that. I think
Yeah.
a lot of people now don't obviously get to have that experience unless you go to a seaside town. Even then, you know, you're not even really going to get a chance to go on them games now.
The reason why they were so popular was because, you know, people would, the home console wasn't as ubiquitous as it is now. And so, I mean, if you want to play like, you know, decent quality graphic game, you'd go to the arcade. Now we just sit in front of the TV, fire up the Xbox, and away you go. I think the way arcades are heading now is more to kind of the simulator style games where you kind of sit in the game and play it, like, you know, the motorbike ones, the car ones, but ones where you kind of stand there and play like
like a lot of VR. A lot of VR
like,
games are definitely
I mean, I'd love to see a BattleTech hub.
Dude, they did have a battle, like I remember many moons ago. I think it was it Mech Warrior 2 or something, but they had a Mech Warrior 2 like arcade where you were literally in sort of cockpits and stuff, and you had the joysticks and stuff, and I was just like, I would have loved to have done that.
Likewise.
Yeah, that was awesome.
I mean, I've played all the BattleTech games. I've include like both the tabletop games and the PC games.
Have you backed BattleTech Clan Wars? Which came the one that I think you put a thing on Geek Pride about it, and I saw it and I went back in that.
No, I mean, it's I just love anything Mech Warrior, to be honest. I mean, I've got to chat to Jordan Weissman a few times, and he's passionate really into BattleTech, but also into military history. Okay. He knows the stuff, and it just shows in the games he makes. Like, you know, in terms of, like, you know, the background and history, it feels very grounded. It's not like as fantastical as some kind of far future settings can be.
Yeah.
But I'd love the chance to kind of sit in a proper Mech Warrior arcade system.
I used to love it. Like as a child, like Jon Jo said, I would spend hours and hours and hours, and I would literally just hammer my mum and dad for like money just to get in these arcades. But they were just like, you know, if this gets them away for 3 or 4 hours and stuff, that's brilliant. Like I remember, what was it? My uncle lived in Portrush, and Portrush in Northern Ireland has a place called Barry's, which is an amusement arcade and like a sort of like a small sort of like a theme park, and they had this. I used to love it there. So basically, we go to a thing called the Northwest 200, which was like motorbikes and stuff like that, and me and my brother would just go straight to Barry's, and we would spend all day in this arcade and literally just love it. There was hundreds and hundreds and hundreds of games, and we were just like, I don't know which ones to play, and we'd go through them all, and it was just absolutely amazing. Just sitting there watching kids playing these games and stuff, you know, it was just an event. The whole thing was just absolutely amazing. Got a message on Facebook from I'm gonna probably murder your name here, man. Patrick, I think it's Patrick, or is it Podrick? Podrick Kemp or Patrick Kemp. Do you remember the Star Wars arcade game instead of TIE Fighter?
Yes.
It was friggin' awesome.
Yes,
I do.
I was going to say about that one.
Big time,
because I did, because years ago when I was obviously like pre-teen, things like that, I never really was that much into Star Wars, but I always remember playing the I think was it like X-Wing Squadron or something like that. But it was so good. It was just such a fun game, and it was kind of like from that. A friend of mine went to me, why do you play this game if you don't like Star Wars? I said no. I said I didn't say I don't like Star Wars. I said I've never actually watched Star Wars, and I was like, but I love this game. And I was thinking, because you got the new Squadrons game coming out now, wouldn't that be such a great thing if they done like a traveling arcade where they literally had cockpits all set up in the room and just go, yeah, here we go. Yes, would you like to sit in the X-wing? Here we go. This is your perfect opportunity.
EGX 2021 is all I'm saying. I really hope that's the case.
Yeah, I just don't know if kids would take to arcades as well as, I don't know actually, because kids,
Well, no, actually, I would say yes, they would. I mean, my older two kids both love it. They love. They're not bothered by the ones where you just stand there and play the game. They would love the ones where you kind of sit in the car or in the bike. Yeah. So I mean, if it was kind of that more kind of simulator style setup, they'd be.
Have a bit of experience. You know, if you're just going to play on a controller, you might as well just be at home.
Exactly.
That's the thing. But yeah, I do understand if you can actually be like, especially if like say if they did do one for Squadrons, but you're actually like in the cockpit and it's actually like moving around as you're going around, you know, so like you do a flip up and it shoots up and then I don't know, like you actually like you're firing like the blasters and you can actually feel the pulsing from side to side.
Do you remember Afterburner, the arcade game?
I loved Afterburner.
Loved
Afterburner.
Yes.
A setup like that, we kind of it rocks back and forward based on like how the craft goes.
Yeah,
something like that would be amazing.
Do you know what's so sad? Right after, all these old school games, like I said, my brother, my sister, we got a computer quite early on, so we play the arcades. But we had like an Atari ST when they came out, and we had a PC pretty early on and stuff.
Oh, sorry, Matt, we're gonna have to fall out. I didn't Amiga.
Oh no! It was always that. It was the Atari ST versus the Amiga, and Sega versus Nintendo, and we picked our side. Atari ST and a Sega family. But yeah, we love these games, and like me and my brother, we're quite young, so weren't very good at them and stuff. But it's just these things. We've got like sounds like Afterburner. When somebody says Afterburner to me, and you said it to my brother or sister, you just go, be careful, 10 o'clock, wah! And it's just all the things they say, and it was just like amazing, absolutely, just the memories, not even the game, because the game was literally you just moved left and right, didn't you?
Left, up, down, yeah. But I mean, it counted down as the clock went. It just thought, oh well, screw it, just fire all the missiles at once and hope I hit something, and then bing, yep, okay, keep flying, and just like, but yeah, it was an insane game to play.
Yeah. Again, you're gonna have to phonetically spell out your name, Patrick or Podrick Kemp. If it's,
he said you made a good attempt at it.
It's one of the other maybe then. But he says, personally, I found arcades ridiculously expensive and easy to die on. They were our money burners. It's true though, because
because if you think like the average game was like say 50p a play, and say like you're getting into it and you die within 2 minutes on say like playing like Time Splitters, you go, oh damn, I'm sure I can do better now. There goes in another 50p. Do it. Oh, you die again very quick. Oh no, there goes another. And I think on average, I did do. Bear in mind, this we're talking about 17, 18 years ago. I'd put in easily like a tenner each time I went down to the arcade almost. So that's a lot of money for literally just playing games that you're not actually owning, and you're probably not getting much better at playing anyway.
All you're paying for is the experience of playing that game for that short amount of time. You're not playing to own the game. Basically, what I did was I kind of walk around a bit, watch other people play the game, learn from their mistakes. I thought, right, okay, I know what's coming up.
Yeah, you were just kind of smarter men than me and my brother, because we literally just went dad, money, dad, money, and he'd throw in like, oh, here's a couple of quid, and we'd go over, and then we'd be dead within like 5 minutes, running back, dad, more money. I remember sort of playing the Turtles game, and I loved like the Turtles game and the Simpsons games where you could have like four people at once. And me and my brother would play, and we'd like, oh, I wish we had 2 other people so we could play, but we'd just burn through that. And I remember being in the airport waiting for a plane, and they had it, and the plane was delayed, and we were just going through it, but we weren't doing it very well, but we just got through it because we were just getting more and more money off my mum and dad, so we could get through.
I remember years ago when I was in Florida, we went to this pizza place, and literally inside it had an arcade built in with it, and remember going through the games, and it was I think it was like 9 o'clock in the evening. We'd been out all day at one of the theme parks, and parents just like, just go and keep yourself entertained for a bit. We can't be bothered with you. Just go. As we're going through these arcade titles, there was some great stuff in there. They had like the classic Jurassic Park one, so they had the whole buggy and everything all in there. You had obviously Time Crisis and Dino Crisis next to each other,
which
was so good. And then so did a bit of that, and then in the corner they had, I never seen it before, and I've never seen it since. They actually had a full-size cabinet for Streets of Rage, and this was Streets of Rage 1, and it was literally full-on joystick, all your buttons all mapped out, and then there was a player 2 right next to you. So as I'm playing this game, I've got my brother to obviously play next to me when we're going through it, and I just remember it was like a quarter for each play, and that was for both players as well. So wow, yeah, just said to, like, you know, just go up to the counter and just go, yeah, can I get some change? And just literally got like 50 quarters in her hands. It's like, yep, that'll do. And just playing over and over and over. And I just didn't want to come off it. And we actually did finish the game because I was like, it was so much fun. And that was when also you can complete one in games in like the space of an hour. But yeah, I just remember going through it, and yeah, it was just so much fun. And I thought, when we're going to the end, it comes up, it does this whole thing with the scores, and it goes like, yeah, here's your position in terms of like everyone ranked. And it's like, so it starts at the bottom, and it starts sliding up. And I'm like, okay, up to the 500s, up to the 400s, up to the 300s, up to the 200s. And then it got to number 99. I was like, damn it, I thought we'd done better than that.
What was your favorite? What was your favorite game? Well, give me your sort of like top 3 sort of games that you liked back in the day, sort of ones that you have really fond memories of in the arcades.
Okay, I think Time Crisis was always one of my favorite ones. Time Crisis / Time Splitters, because it was fun when you had a friend playing with you, because you just had, like, you know, you kind of got in sync with each other. You kind of start backing each other up, and it was quite fun because we get to a point where we're playing like half hour at a time. We're definitely getting our money's worth, and you know, you got a whole queue of people behind you waiting. It's like, no, mate, you're gonna have to wait. We're clearing this. Look, we're on level 9 now. You know, you're gonna have to sit back for a while. And yeah, that was quite fun. Like I said, the Dance Revolution games, surprisingly, you get quite fun with, because obviously the better you did, you go up another level, but then it got more and more intense. And one of the worst ones, basically, it was like the dance equivalent of Through the Fire and Flames. It was literally within the space of 3 minutes, I think it was something like about 1,000 steps almost, and it that killed. So literally holding on to the back bar, and it's like just trying to get every single motion. I think even then, I say done about like 55%. And I just remember coming off it, I was like, right, I can't walk. Let me get clear. Apart from that, I think the only other one that really did stick with me, there was a Turtles one. It wasn't the traditional Turtles one. It was I can't remember exactly what one it was now, but it was Turtles in Time. That's it. It was Turtles in Time. Yeah, that was just incredible, and that was a game that. Again, that would probably took, apart from the dance game, that probably took most of my money, because that was, I always said I wanted to complete that Turtles game. That was always going to be the ambition, and I never did get to complete it because the arcade shut down before we actually even got that opportunity, which was really annoying. Now I remember that, you know, we never had, there was no warning, there was no notice about being closed. Just remember, we went there one Saturday, it was all shut off, and there was just a big notice up saying closed until further notice. The next week we went there, it was absolutely stripped bare. There was nothing left inside. And you know, now, ever since it's been shut, they changed it, and it's still a Robert Dias. You know, they took away our arcade for a fucking Robert Dias. Why? Yeah.
We've got some comments here. Rick Ward, Mr. Ward. Wow, yeah, Meg. Sorry, Mr. Ward, for all you know, he used to work with me, and his nickname was Meg, so we would see him and go, Meg. But he says House of the Dead series has to be a firm favorite. Agreed. Yep.
That was good.
I'm Podrick Kemp again. I don't know. He says 7 years ago I found Terminator Salvation arcade game. £25 later and about 20 minutes after I had to stop. Brilliant game though. House of the Dead 3 was with the shotgun attached.
Oh yes.
Yeah.
Yes, because it was all in the same gun, weren't it? So obviously it worked as the machine guns, so it start ticking off, and then when it was the shotgun, you just hear it go. Cool.
I did like those games. I think I did like the games where you had guns, but sort of if I think about arcades and I think about games that I used to play when we were kids, It's got to be. There was a game, and I can't remember. Again, I've got it on my little emulator there, but it's a game where you were like Arthurian knights. So you could be King Arthur, you could be Lancelot, or you could be Percival, and you got different. I know
which one you mean.
And you could get different armor and stuff. Like it was a hack and slash sort of thing.
Yeah.
And I used
each character slightly different as well. Like one was really strong, one was really fast, and the other was kind of a mix of the two. But I know which one you mean.
Yeah, I love that. We love that game. Double Dragon 2 actually was. We loved Double Dragon. I remember, like, I don't know why, but it's just like I remember we played Double Dragon 1 loads, and then I remember going to like Malta, I think, or something, for a family holiday, and seeing it was France, and seeing Double Dragon 2, and it was like the graphics were like super different from the sort of pixelated ones you got in Double Dragon 1, and me and my brother were going, whoa, this is the best game ever. And it was just like, and RoboCop, the first RoboCop game and stuff, it was like literally just side-scrolling thing, you jump up and down, and the first sort of boss was Ed 209, and you just loved it. I absolutely loved it. Yeah, just you go back and you play those games, and you're just like, man, these games are naff. But at the time, you're just like super into them and stuff. But I suppose if you're a kid, you're not expecting much. You just want something that's waste a bit of time, don't you?
Yeah, but also at that time they were cutting edge. To be fair, I mean, graphically and gameplay wise, they were top of the game. I mean, that is why they could charge so much for a brief experience.
Yeah.
Nowadays, it shows their age, but that's because it's 15, 20 years gone.
Yeah.
I still think, even though it's a bit of a different class, I still think one of my favourite memories in terms of gaming was my aunt when my cousin was playing a FIFA game. I think it was like FIFA 99 or something. She came into his room and she thought he was just watching football and just like messing about with his controller, because obviously had all the commentary. It was and that was like quite cutting edge really. And then it was like, obviously it was a smaller screen, so not paying too much attention. And she went, "Anthony, what are you doing? Are you actually pretending to be a footballer or something?" And you go, "No, Mum, I'm actually playing it. Look." It's like, and she's like, "Oh, really?" And obviously, then you think like, well, how could you not notice that was a game, really? But then you look at it now. Some people do get deceived so well over some games because they have just got such photorealism, and the little added extras and bits and pieces really do change it. And I think that would spoil an arcade now, having that level of realism. I think that would really take away a lot of the fun that obviously you used to have, in my opinion.
We've got an affirmative on Padrick/Podrick. His name, I think it actually might be Patrick then, but it's Paddy. Let's call him Paddy. All right, call you Paddy, buddy. Nice. All right, well, we'll remember that for next time, which Matt will completely forget, but we'll try our best. Yes. So moving on from sort of kind of like retro gaming and stuff, myself and Mr. Allison have been prepping for a D&D campaign that I'm going to try and run with 6 people. I know your general sort of D&D group should probably be about 4 or 5, but I'm throwing caution to the winds, and we've got 6 people and stuff, and Mr. Allison he's playing a dragonborn barbarian.
Yeah, just like, well, play to what you know. I mean, to be fair, I just had this mental image of this of a dragonborn, which is like this hulking, well, basically like bipedal lizard essentially that breathes fire, with an axe. And just had this mental image in my head of like, what would happen if he's like chilling out and smoking a cigar at the same time? and that was just the mental image of like this character. Like, right, okay, that's him. That's Draken.
Do you know what I really loved about the last sort of week that we've been doing this is the fact that everybody has gone so in depth about their backstories and stuff, and we're talking like Mark Canty wrote 3,500 words on his. My brother wrote a pretty long one as well.
I only wrote 500 words.
Yeah,
I feel embarrassed.
Do you know, lockdown has definitely affected people in some very weird ways. I'll have to say that.
Yeah, it's good, man. I loved it. And I sat there and like my brother's, he's a bit down on himself when it comes to sort of writing things and stuff, but he had a really good story arc on it, and it was getting quite I was like, oh right, I'm going to put it online. I think we're going to build a wiki, I think, for it and stuff. So we're going to have like an actual history of the campaign and stuff. But yeah, it was just
I've got
so
to get
good.
involved in this one night. I've really got to. I've listened. I did listen to a little bit last week, and I was like, damn, I'm missing out on something quite good here.
Yeah, final session.
D&D before?
I've never done D&D before. No.
Oh, wow.
Yeah.
It's a weird thing because a few friends I know have played it, and then we there's a time when we did kind of arrange to try and do a session, but no, I've never properly played Dungeons and Dragons before in my life, and I would love to.
I think it can be quite intimidating because there are so many rules and stuff. But I think especially if you're in a group of newbies like we are, you know that there's not going to be a strict adherence to rules as written. There's going to be very much a case of Matt doesn't really know what to do, roll this instead, do this instead, and as long as it works and the story's good, then I don't think it matters. Like, for example, the one shot that I'm running, we're on potentially hopefully it's going to be our last session tomorrow. With the Order of the Morning Star. So I think, but I'm not completely clued into all the rules because I'm starting afresh myself after like 20 odd years of a break. And I think it's good because as long as the story's going and people are engaged in that story, it doesn't really matter what you're doing as long as people are sort of enjoying that sort of thing. And I think that's why I've liked the fact that people have been really going for their background stories and stuff. And like one of the best bits, like I had a good bit of banter with Pete over his character, and I'll go through it all and stuff. But we had, I did a thing where basically I gave them a bit of narrative about where they were going and why they were going there, and they could ask questions or they could sort of do things. And like Pete's was he bumps into a sort of a nobleman, and the nobleman's like, I can pay you money or you can have a random gift, basically what's in the magic box if you want. And he's like, I don't want money or trinkets. What have you got, any weapons? And then we had this really good sort of like spiel about things. But I did one with my brother and Mark Canty, and they're two rangers, and they both sort of started off because I gave them a map on, where the map I created for the entire world, and they were sort of in a same-ish area, and I had basically one of them hunting the other, and then they had this amazing interaction where it's basically I told them what they were doing, and then I said, so how are you going to do this? You need to capture him if you want to get your bounty and blah blah blah, and I just opened up a WhatsApp group. I went, this is happening, go. And then they just started smack talking each other. It was hilarious. It was literally an entire day of them coming up with smart quips with each other. And it was like, my brother was getting really into it. He was like, I want to sneak up behind him and I want to say this. And then he'd send me a voice message and I'd pass it on. And I was just like, this is hilarious. This is so good. And then it got to the point where I think they were getting too into the sort of like arguing with each other, and nothing was moving forward. So I did a GM thing where and sort of did stuff to move them across, move it through. But it was so good, and that's what D&D is about. The storyline. What I did roles. We did some roles for things like that, but in general, it was just about their interaction with each other and how they were sort of kind of playing it. And it was really good because my brother's character is playing somebody who hasn't really met people for a long time, isn't a massive people person, and so he was just being an asshole and it was so good. It was brilliant. Paddy, see you later, my friend. Stay safe too. But yeah, it was so good. I'm just worried that I'm not going to have enough sort of story for everything, but we'll see.
I'm sure you'll be fine. Come on, Mr. does everything, knows everything. I'm sure you'll be able to handle it.
It's just sort of
Mr. Professional. Sorry, that's it, Mr. Professional.
Well, see, the thing is with a one shot, when you're doing a one shot, you can direct things in a certain way because you kind of got a start, a middle, and an end. Whereas with a campaign, there's a massive X factor. You'll have a main theme or a main thread going through things, but if they just decide, nah, we're just going to go over here instead, and like I've been in groups for other RPGs like Road Trader and stuff have done that, you know, you have to think on your feet. So I've got all these things on my Roll20, you know, to give me random stuff just in case something happens, and like I've got map generators and things like that just in case they go somewhere random and I have to go, okay, well, it looks like this, and then put that in. But yeah, so I'm looking forward to it. It's just sort of keeping a group together and keeping everybody engaged is going to be interesting. So yeah, we'll see.
Yeah, I remember one time I was running a game of Mech Warrior, the role-playing game, and all the characters were very spec op types, and they were kind of charged of hunting down this rogue mercenary group. Now, what I hadn't realized was I'd put the base of this mercenary group only about very near to the to another mercenary group, which one of the characters was from, and the Highlanders. So this character had this player of the character had this bright idea of, I know, I go to my mercenary company's home planet, the Highlanders. We hire them to take out the other mercenary company that we're hunting down. And it was just like.
So are you in the Mech Warrior RPG? You're not in mechs. You're just guys walking.
No, that's the thing. You essentially in the Mech Warrior role-playing game, you are essentially, there is rules for mechs. You can play a Mech Warrior, but generally it's a very much kind of special forces espionage style role-playing game rather than being mechs.
Do you know that I've got a character in BattleTech canon now?
Oh wow, nice one.
Yeah, part of the Kickstarter was that you had to give you gave a name and you give a bit of a background. I can't even remember exactly what I put down. I'll try and find it. I'll show you later. But he's basically I think he's an Inner Sphere colonel. I think he might, is it a direwolf? Possibly, yeah, but yeah, and you know, he's a part of a noble family, and he's a colonel. The 54th Hussar, Hussars,
yeah,
or something like that. But yeah, and they stick it in, and it's on a website. So I am now immortalized in BattleTech canon. So it's like, yeah, that's really good, worth it. Yeah.
Actually, speaking about being immortalized, I found out recently that I'm on Google Maps.
What?
Yeah, literally. No, I was like, I was just saying Google Street View to be accurate.
It's not one of them pictures where you see the van going by, you're like, what?
No, actually, I was on my bike and just like pulling into the driveway where I live. So I'm not saying where it is, obviously, but basically this Google Street View car was behind me apparently and had been following me, taking photos of me on my bike all the way up our road and like pulling into my driveway.
So you in multiple photos then?
Yeah.
So yeah, I think that's quite fun if there's been people moving and they're mostly like on the Street View and it's like, hang on, they're following me as I'm going up the road. What's happening? But yeah, that's pretty cool. I've got to ask, how did you find this out? Were you just looking at something from home, or?
No, actually, my son, he was like, playing around on Google Maps and seeing what he could see. And one thing he likes to do is likes to go and get a satellite view of the house, then kind of zooms in and then kind of brings up Street View. And he goes, Daddy, I can see you on Street View. Goes, what? That looks like, yes, you're absolutely right. That is me on my old bike.
And another thing, roughly how old is the photo that you're seeing on Street View?
It's actually from 15 months old.
Oh, okay, so that's not far. Yeah, because I think they update it every 2 years or something now. Well, because you do see the vans going around now and again.
They do say it about every 2 years, but I think it depends on where exactly the place is. I mean, if you go on Google Street View where I am, it's like once every 10 years. You get like April 2019 or June 2009. There's nothing in between. Oh. Yeah, it depends upon how remote the location is. If in like central London or one of the major cities, then yes, there will be more Google Street Views. In rural Derbyshire, less so.
That's pretty cool. That's quite fun.
Yeah.
I'm still trying to find my canon character. I'm trying to find a link on the Kickstarter where it is and stuff, but it's just like, I'll have to find it another time.
Speaking of Kickstarter, earlier on, obviously, I mentioned the whole thing about Hideki Kamiya. He and his company Platinum Games, they re-released the Wonderful 101, which was a Wii U game I'd never played because I never had a Wii U. Pretty much no one did. But the game looked pretty interesting. I was like, yeah, it looked pretty good. And with the Kickstarter, they said, because we want to get into self-publishing, Nintendo said that, they will release the game, but it'll be on their terms. But they said if we want, we can release the game, but then we can release it on other platforms. So they done it on Nintendo Switch, on PS4, and on PC. To say that the Kickstarter had a bit of a bollock up is an understatement. Originally, all the everything was supposed to be fulfilled by April of 2020. That went by. People messaging the Kickstarter campaign, what's happening? Are we actually getting our items? And then they put out at the end of May. So bear in mind, this was a month after the original deadline. Yes, as you can understand, due to everything going on, we've had some delays in our office site. Right? Why didn't you say that a long time previous?
That's Kickstarters for you. That's Kickstarters for you, the man.
It went on. Yeah, it went on because obviously, all getting bombarded with messages. And then I don't know if you heard about this, but then when the items did start getting sent out, they didn't say this on the actual original Kickstarter because they said originally all postage was covered wherever in the world. But as it was arriving on UK shores, people were getting a lovely little £16 bill to pay for their import charges. And obviously they done it staggered. So I was waiting for mine and I was like, I'm sure.
Somebody got their phone by there. Is that you, Jon Jo?
It might have been. I've just thrown the phone out of the way just in case. But it was getting me because I was thinking, right, hang on. So I know mine's on its way. Am I going to be paying £16? I was like, oh shit. But then I remembered I done an order for 2 copies. So I done an order for me and from friend. And I was like, oh God, please don't say it. I'm going to end up like £30 odd. So I'm basically about to pay the same amount again as I did for 1 copy of the game. But and it was like Saturday last week. There was a doorbell ring. I thought, right, this is about the time I thought I'm going to get the letter through to say, oh, you need to pay whatever charges. And as I've opened the door, I've looked down and there's this little box. And I was like, picked it up. I was like, oh, okay. And I brought it in. I thought, right, I opened it. I was like, oh, it's my games. Oh, I've not been charged for it. That's good. That's fine. I looked at the box again later that evening. There is a notice on there that actually said needing to be whatever fees. So obviously they misread the box and they didn't do it. So I got out of 25 quid. Yay! It was great. But it's bad, ain't it? You think you do your bit to support this company. You think you're doing your bit to help them out. Okay, the release date thing you can kind of understand because of everything going on, but the whole thing with the delivery charges, that really did get me. And it was like I'm seeing all these posts on a daily basis from people going, oh, I've just had to pay whatever amount to get my game. And then the thing is, the physical release, because originally they said, oh, it's not going to be out in shops. We're just doing it on this platform. About a month later, they went, oh, no, we are getting a physical release now. We're actually going to release it in all like popular video game stores and on Amazon and things like that. So it would have worked out a lot easier and even slightly cheaper for most people just to buy it on Amazon when it came out.
You get Kickstarter is a thing for me. Like I can't help myself on Kickstarters and stuff. Like I've got loads now. Easily 30, 40 ones I've backed in the past and stuff.
I ain't done that many. Yeah, I think I've done about 3 or 4.
I'm like, I love it. It's just, but the thing is, you have to accept that there's going to be delays. I've never had a Kickstarter on time. They're always late. Usually between 6 months and a year. Sometimes if you talk about one, I've got one that it's been that. Do you remember that what's it called? Airflix one that we played at.
That was good. I like that game.
It's still not come, and that
was 2 years ago, wasn't it?
Yeah, 2 years ago. Wow. So it's
do you actually get updates on these ones? These ones
do sometimes. Some of the good ones get you quite regular updates. some of them you don't get a lot of updates, which
you get the founder doing the video from his private beach in Aruba. Yep, don't worry, guys, your product's going to be on the way to you very soon. Oh, don't worry about this background. You know, I already own this island before you gave me all your money.
It doesn't overly bother me. The only Kickstarter that has I've lost money on is the Hero Quest 25th anniversary that I backed, and it got taken down from Kickstarter many years ago. This would be 2014 possibly. And so basically I backed that thinking, oh, brilliant, Hero Quest 25th anniversary. It got taken down from Kickstarter because it infringed on I'm not sure, was it Mattel, or I'm not sure who
yeah,
one of them, GBR Mattel, one of the it sort of basically infringed on their copyrights, so they couldn't do it. So what they did is they released it thing, and it's basically a Spanish Kickstarter, so because they had different licensing laws and stuff. So I backed that as well. I backed that on there, and then it is now been 5-6 years, and there's a group on there. He basically hasn't been able to fulfill it. He's been taken to court. The guy's been taken to court, and there's basically a group dedicated to basically telling how he's a horrible person and how we're not going to get a game and stuff. And at the minute, it's just like I've waited so long, and I spent it was like 110 quid or something like that, and it's just sitting there in limbo. He keeps on saying, the small bits of information you get, it's like, it's going to happen. It will eventually happen after all this things, but it's been so long that it's
kind of like Guns N' Roses when they were doing their album. It's like, yeah, don't worry, guys, it's coming along. We've got no updates for you now, but don't worry, it's still going to happen. 13 years later, we're just going to put this out. We can't be bothered to try anymore.
Yeah. Well, it's just like the Aliens, Another Glorious Day in the Car. I mean, that's been due to come out for some time, and I finally got to speak to developers last week. So the interview's on the website. Yep. But yeah, basically, it was due to, I think, as I understand it, a preview of it was due to be at last year's UK Games Expo, but they never made it. And basically they've been saying it's going to come out, but never had a definite date. But no, I finally spoke to them, would have been last week, and said it's coming out in October 2020, and it looks fantastic. I mean, many games have aped the aesthetic and style of Aliens, but barring, I think in 1989 we had an Aliens board game which was a bit naff, to be fair.
There was the Aliens versus Predator one, wasn't there? I can't remember the name of the company that did that, but it looked cool, but I never backed it. Yeah,
but this is like Aliens, the board game, and basically like looking at but also looking at expanded material. So you got like the director's cut, the technical manual, and they really delve deep into the lore and background of the Aliens universe, and it just looks fantastic. And so I'm really looking forward to playing that game when it comes out.
So many games, man. Like I get so easily swayed by that. I was like, oh, that's brilliant. I've got do you know what? I'm going to log into my Kickstarter, right? And I'm going to tell you what this is.
Well, there's one game I've been wanting to play, and that's the Big Trouble in Little China board game.
Oh, that does look pretty good.
I mean, I've heard good things about it. I mean, and that was the very first VHS I ever owned. And so there's a lot of kind of nostalgia there for me, but I've never got but also it was a very limited release. It was just Kickstarter. You couldn't buy it over Amazon or anything. And it was like they could only have the license for so many years. And when that license ended, that was it. You could not get any more. And I missed out. And it's like, should I spend 110 quid on it? It's one of those things of what's the price? What's the price tag for nostalgia?
Yeah. There's this is another cool game. I've just clicked on Kickstarter, and there's a game I kind of.
He's gonna buy another one while we're on the podcast.
It's called Gangs of the Undercity, a cyberpunk fantasy skirmish game.
Okay.
Yeah.
It sounds very Necromunda.
Yeah, well, it looks kind of a Necromunda,
which is no bad thing, to be fair.
So let's see my I'll have to log in here. with a finger that doesn't work because I cut it off earlier. Okay, so it's doing its thing. It's thinking about it. It's still thinking about it. It's still thinking about it. Oh, it's still doing it.
Oh yeah. Oh no, that one, Gangs of the Unsea. I did actually have that bookmarked on my one as well. Actually.
See, it's all about the miniatures. It's for me. It's just like it's like miniatures. You know, if they've got cool miniatures, and I'm all over it. As soon as it's like if you've got a game. If they put a game in it, I'm not overly into card games and stuff like that. Yeah. But if somebody turns around to me and goes, "Here's a fancy box, really cool looking miniatures," then I'm like, "Yeah, I'm all over that. I'll buy that."
So you bought most of the Simon games then, Zombicide games.
Well, no, actually, I bought one of the Zombicide games, and I'm not a massive fan of solo play games or completely cooperative games. As much as I like there to be a bit of a, somebody trying to mess with you in certain ways and stuff. I like a bit of competition and stuff.
You like competitive games?
Yeah, sort of competitive games. Yeah. I didn't mind it, but it was just something about playing against nobody that
playing against the game rather than playing against another person.
It's just sort of, it's not like even it's AI, it's just sort of things, and it doesn't feel right in my mind. It doesn't feel sort of like it's for some reason Kickstarter's not doing its thing. But yeah, I've got lots of Kickstarters. I've got one recently, and it's like a throwback to an old school game I had when I was a kid. Do you remember a game called Crossbows and Catapults?
Yes. I know which Kickstarter you're talking about as well.
Catapult Kingdoms, yeah. So I backed that just because me and my brother and sister used to play Crossbows and Catapults as kids. So I backed that, even though I'll probably not play it much other than now and again. It's more of a kiddie type game because you literally build a little castle and you use these spring-loaded catapults to try and knock it down, each other's down and stuff. But I just have sort of really good memories playing that as a kid. So it's like, yeah, that's got miniatures and things, I'll buy that. And then I've got loads of fantasy Dungeons and Dragons type games coming out, like loads and loads and loads of miniatures and stuff. No time to do it all, but I can't help myself. It's like
that's
crack.
Called an addiction.
It is, man. It truly is. It's just like, I know it deep down. It's just like, it's so hard not to sort of like, it's like I'll go in, I'm feeling a bit down. It's like, I'll just have a look in Kickstarter. Ooh, that looks pretty. It's only 60 quid for the basic one and 400 quid for the all in. My most expensive Kickstarter. I'll tell you, we'll do a guessing game. How much do you think my most expensive game on Kickstarter has been?
£600.
Ooh, close.
I'm gonna guess 700.
No, it was 450 quid. It was Medieval Universalis, and it's a 9-player strategic medieval game which has like economy and battles and stuff in it, and it is absolutely huge. It's like the box is so heavy, you actually get actual physical metal coins in it. You got daggers. Each person got a dagger, like a letter opener type thing that they could have in their little box. You got about 1 million miniatures and stuff in it, and it's just like, me and my brother played it. It's an awesome game, but I want to have a 9-player game of it at some point in time. I want to get 9 people involved.
All these games, the one thing I'd say right now that make it very disappointing is that obviously with everything going on, you can't exactly have a 9-player game right now, which is really bad. No. As much as it'd be nice to go, yeah, Joel, should we do this? We'll get a few beers, we'll get some pizza in. We're going to make this an all-nighter. It's like, oh no, we can't do that yet. Never mind. Just out of curiosity, how many of these games have you actually got, Matt? How many types of these board games do you actually own?
Oh man,
are we just into double figures, or are we maybe pushing up to a triple?
Do you know what?
My wife listens to this podcast. I'm not answering that question.
I have. Okay, let's have a think. I have got so many Warhammer things. It's just stupid. Like it's just like I've got like tons of Warhammer stuff. All the books pretty much and stuff. When it comes to, let's see, when Fantasy Flight games comes in, I've got a boatload of X-Wing stuff. though I don't have the upgrade packs at the moment in time, simply because I moved house just before they came in, and then I haven't been able to get my Geek and Son gaming table set up again because I'm in a rented place at the minute, so I can't fit. All their Star Wars Armada stuff, which is basically like X-Wing but with capital ships. I've got fucking loads of that. I've got Star Wars Legions, which is basically, infantry and stuff like that. I've got boatloads of that. I've got the old anything for Fantasy Flight. Matt probably has any Fantasy Flight guy. Twilight Imperium, which is like another strategic sort of board game. Axis and Allies Global second.
Nice.
I love that. Me and my brother play that most Christmases. It's literally a game that can take anywhere between 14 hours and 2 days to play and stuff, and we will play it for 2 days. Just leave it at my mum's table at Christmas and just sort of kind of carry on. Then I've got all the sort of I can't even think of all the games I have. I have lots and lots of games. Easily 40, 50 more maybe. I don't know, and it's just like I have sold a bunch, but like Descent, which is basically if you look at the Fantasy Flight website, I probably have most of the games that they've got.
I thought you were just going to say have your face on the website.
No, Fantasy this
here's our number one customer.
Yeah, Fantasy Flight games, Games Workshop. I'm all over that. Generally, Fantasy Flight games. If it's anything fantasy oriented, I haven't got many of the Arkham Horror games because
I've got them. Yeah, I really like their Manchester Madness game. That is fantastic.
I guess I can see that in the background actually, behind you there, up there.
Yeah, that's right. Yeah, basically during Christmas and on a holiday, that box always comes out, and we always get a game in it or two.
You got three versions of Risk there, Pete.
Yes, that is correct. I've got normal Risk. I've got Star Wars Risk, Lord of the Rings Risk.
Oh, I got Lord of the Rings Risk. I've got Risk. I've got Risk. What's the one where you could only play it a certain amount of times because? Oh yeah,
Risk Legacy.
Yeah, I've got the Risk Legacy, and it's not been opened because I'm like, as soon as I start playing this, it needs to be sort of completed. Because
you got to play because it is really good.
Yeah, add stickers and stuff to it.
I think what would work is you play it all the way through, and then you put the finished board, on your wall.
Oh, right, okay, and that's it.
And that's it. I mean, I've heard very good things about it. My friend who was 40 just yesterday, his family got him it for his birthday. So basically, his wife and 2 children are basically going to sit down and play Risk Legacy together, play it all the way through, and then put it on the wall.
See, I bought it just before my dad had died, and it was like the idea was like again the whole family thing, and then I just haven't been able to bring myself to do it and stuff. But I'm sort of tempted, like me and my brother, and maybe get some other people sort of in on it and do it because it's just been sitting there for ages, and I love Risk. I lose at Risk all the time.
I've never played Risk Legacy, but the original Risk I've still got on an old USB. I've still got a copy of Risk on there, and I remember when I was in college, when we used to have our downtime, we always used to play it, and it was just incredible fun. Although it was not so much fun when went to a toilet break, and then someone decided to jack up the speaker. So as we went in, first explosion, literally thought it took half the wall down inside the media room, and there was a class next door as well. They thought the bomb had gone off. Like, fucking hell. Literally, they come running in, like the tutors come running and go, "What the fuck are you doing?" No, don't worry. We didn't mean it.
Yeah.
It's like, oh, Jesus. But it really boomed. It was like, the ground shook. I was like, how could you get that from PC speakers? But these things were fucking powerful.
I always get picked on at Risk. I always because I get quite into it. And the thing is, like, I just get people turning against me all the time, so it's just a case of everybody's just against me and stuff. The one thing about Risk is once you start getting hammered by other people, that's it. The game's over. There's no way to sort of come back. Whereas some of the other strategic games, you can do things to stop that and stuff, and that's why I kind of like that. It's just sort of, but as soon as you start getting railroaded, you're just like, oh, I'm fucked now.
Yeah, Risk is it's a fun game. The problem is, like, if someone takes Australia, then they will eventually win. It's just a case of like hoarding resources, then just going all out. With some of the other maps, they address that issue, especially like Star Wars, where it's less about kind of controlling just one sector and basically dominating everyone. It's more about kind of more of attrition rather than just taking Australia and winning.
Yeah. Well, that's it, isn't it? It's, my girlfriend hath returned and is making lots of noise.
My girlfriend hath returned.
She hath returned, and she
she half returned. She's still outside the door partly.
Yeah.
But do you know, I'd love. Do you know, I was saying about all these games. I'd love to play Risk again with people. I haven't done a proper Risk game for so many years, but that was always some of the most fun, and also can really break some friendships as well. When like when you go, no, don't worry, mate, don't worry, I'm not gonna attack your border. That's fine, and I've got like 100 troops just on his one area, and it's like, yep, oh, you've taken that continent. Well, you knew that was going to happen.
Matt,
you said you weren't going to do it.
Have you played War on Terror?
No, I can't say I have actually.
It's a combination of Risk meets diplomacy, but done as a geopolitical farce.
Sorry, my girlfriend's smiling at me because my dog has a thing about loves it when she comes back now. He like gets super excited. And she's looking at me like, oh, he doesn't do that to you now. So she's like, she's just rubbing it in while Boz is getting super excited that she's back, and he doesn't do that for me. Little shit. But no, man, I haven't. I used to play diplomacy loads with my dad and my uncle and stuff like that.
Given you a bit of a politics nerd, I think you'd really get a lot out of it because it's a complete farce of geopolitics, where basically like, you start out as a nation, and then if your nation's wiped out, you become a terrorist. Terrorist group. That's awesome. And then literally, so basically, so people can like fund terrorists to kind of take out their own enemies, but all these terrorists can be controlled by one player. And then literally, it is entirely possible for that player who would become a terrorist to actually become another country again.
That's awesome. I think I might have to give that one a girl.
It's a really good one. It got banned by a few places, and I think the Sun and the Daily Mail said, "Oh, it's."
Let me guess. They said it inspired actual terrorism.
Yeah, it can be a complete mockery of the war on terror. No, that's the entire point of it. And like it's like, yes, well, we go where the terrorism is, which just happens to be in lots of high oil countries.
That sounds good. Like I've got fond memories of like diplomacy and stuff. We played it sort of quite on. Like one thing, like when I grew up, my family had a board game day at the weekend, so we would play a board game at the weekend. Now obviously my mum wasn't into any of these sort of like strategic games and stuff like that, so it was generally, so we would play games that she'd been like Ludo and like Monopoly and things like that. But sometimes my mum didn't want to play. My dad would break out games like there's a game called Kingmaker, which is basically a War of the Roses sort of kind of game, and I sort of have fond memories of that. And diplomacy. And I remember my uncle coming over, and my uncle was a major in the Royal Artillery, and he obviously, it's like, well, I'm in the army, so this is my bag, man. So he's like playing, and the thing about diplomacy is you sort of write down your orders, and then you can take people off. And I used to love it because you could take people off and you could talk to them about stuff. And my dad basically made me stab my uncle in the back, and my uncle got so upset about it. And I sort of remember, because I was on his side, and my dad obviously was just like, and I'm young, I don't know any different. So my dad's like, you should totally attack him, and I'm just like, okay, I'll do that. And then I attacked him. My uncle's like, what are you doing? And I was like, I'm attacking you. And he was just so unimpressed. He was just like, my dad was just sitting there smirking. And I was just like,
well, one thing I've been doing with my kids during lockdown, especially like in the middle of it when everything was locked down, was that my wife and I would just basically have board game evenings for the kids, just kind of because they were just kind of stuck inside, barring an hour's exercise, and they couldn't see their friends, they couldn't go to school, they couldn't do anything. So okay, let's just liven it up for everything and kind of just do board games with them. So we dig out Dixit and King of New York and King of Tokyo, and just kind of do something different, and they love it. I mean, Michael is my elder son. He loves King of Tokyo because and because he just goes all out, he just goes and attacks you, full on attack, nothing, just like no holds barred. My daughter is much more calculating and goes for points.
Yeah, well, that's it. That's the thing, isn't it? Being more calculated will win you more games and trying to kill things. I've learned that for many years of experience in Warhammer games and in other games. It's just like, I must kill things, and then you get killed, and you're like, oh, lost the game.
Yeah. But no, we played like loads of games, and it really actually helped them a lot, just because it was just something different rather than just going, day in, day out, stay inside, go out for an hour, come back, do a bit of schoolwork, and then just kind of go to bed. And it's just like, no, it's kind of, okay, board games night. Yeah. And that kind of really perked them up a fair bit. And because it was just a lot of fun, because it was something we could all do together as a family. I mean, my youngest, who's 4, couldn't really play, but we kind of we play Dixit, which is kind of this kind of descriptive game where you kind of have to describe something, but not such a way that you explicitly say what it is. You just need to have a few people guess.
Is it like articulate then, basically?
Very similar, but the goal is to only have 1 or 2 people guess, not have everyone guess. So it's very kind of beautiful cards, incredibly beautiful artwork on the cards, and you kind of you apply dream logic to your description of the card.
Okay.
And then basically kind of lay out and everyone kind of hands you the card matching your description. Okay. And then basically you kind of lay out all the cards, and then the players have to kind of choose which card you described out of all those that were given to you.
Okay.
And it was actually quite fun. And also that way my youngest could play, because then he'd be sitting on like mine or my wife's knee. And so describe this card. How would you describe that? And he'd go, dark. And like put card down, like, okay, dark. Now literally this dark could be anything from the night sky to the colour of the clothes, or the microscopic dot.
Okay.
Somewhere in the card. So you're like, okay, I think that's dark, maybe, but this is my youngest here, so anything. but it was a lot of fun, and he enjoyed it as well, because it was like he was taking part in this kind of family, board game night.
I think family, they're a big thing, and I think board games in general are great. Getting people together to play board games, like I've got really fond memories. Like when before all my friends decided to have kids and sort of get married and all these other things, we used to have quite regular board game nights in my house. I loved it. I just really enjoyed having people around to play board games and stuff. And it's just sort of like me. The only thing, like me and my brother do it every time I go home, Christmas, and it's generally Christmas, but I bring a boatload of games with me. I literally bring two suitcases full of board games and stuff, and I'm just like, right, we've got all these board games. Which ones are we going to play? And that's basically my Christmas, just sort of playing board games and stuff. My brother kind of going, okay, well, let's try this one and stuff. But that's it.
Well, you say like about kind of people getting kids and then kind of not playing. Not entirely true. I mean, I know quite a few parents that go to my kids' school that all play board games.
All right.
And like this family moved across the road, who got a young child, and they kind of came over to meet themselves, introduce themselves, and I was out at the time, and Kate and so I was going, I started chatting away, and so my husband Pete, he's not here right now, he's gaming, and you could see this look to each other like, ooh. What type
one of us.
Exactly, it's just like that. And so now we've we can't do it right now because of lockdown, but until then, every month or so, we kind of one of us go over to each other's house and across the road and just play games tonight. Yeah. Kids go to bed. Right, okay, time's free. Let's go and play games.
I remember I've got my parents, and they did this twice, I think, from what I can remember, but they had these murder mystery sort of games, and it was basically they were one-offs. So once you played them, you couldn't play them because it had a specific thing. But I remember everybody they did it for the whole street, and I remember the entire street, mums and dads turning up to my house. We were ushered off to bed early as you were, and they would sort of sat in the front room all dressed up in sort of Japanese type clothes and things, and it was they had the do like a murder mystery type thing, and the idea of that was just like, I was just like, that's amazing. That was so cool. That was really good.
Yeah. Well, I did that once with like this kind of Star Trek version, and it was pants, but it was a lot of fun. It was. I mean, it was. I'm not a Star Trek fan.
Star Trek murder mystery.
Yeah,
it was a red shirt that died, wasn't it?
I'm not going to
Little Ensign Ricky.
No, it was.
I'd like something like that. You know, that should be quite fun.
So to be fair, it was a bit fun playing the character. I mean, this is where the roleplay aspect got me into it. Like, okay, this is a bit like roleplay. Okay, I get into it. So I was basically like speaking in Klingon at people and like going kapla, like shouting, "You dishonor me. Prepare to duel."
do you know? I think that'd be so great, especially if you are doing like a sci-fi style murder mystery. You'd want to develop your own character, wouldn't you? You know, as the night's going on. Yes,
we're going in towards LARP territory here. To be fair, I mean, literally.
Do you LARP or have you LARPed?
I have LARPed. I've LARPed quite a few times. I played.
How does it work in how do the sort of rules work and stuff? Is it literally
okay? The rules work is basically if I go and hit you with my sword, you are hit.
Okay,
that is it.
It's an honor system, is it?
Yeah. As in, like, you know, okay, like, you got 1 damage, right here, and basically you just log it to yourself mentally that you've taken 1 damage. Now, it's generally assumed that after you get healed up after 10 minutes or something. I can't remember the exact rule system by which you go, but essentially, basically, so you don't. So basically, after 10 minutes, you're healed up again.
Yeah. Okay.
Basically, there's some kind of magical feel that allows you to recover injuries. That way, you're not going around kind of think, okay, now did it take 2 hits or 1 hit 3 hours ago?
Okay.
So that works out quite well. And yeah, so it's basically you just go up to someone, stab, or rather slash. Again, avoid face, avoid crotch. Obvious things, although you can get hit in the crotch quite easily by a random bowman by accident. Literally, there was a bunch of us facing off against some monsters. One of them was a bowman, and like he fired his bow about 30 feet away. No, 50 feet away, and he hit me right in the nuts. And it's like, okay, who fired this? And there's one guy
it was probably more like, who fired this?
And there's one guy sticks down and goes, "Do you want it back?" And he nods his head.
Yeah.
"Come here, you." And
what you should have said was, "No, this is mine now."
No, there's this kind of again, reference, like, no, it was like on a system where basically, no, this is yours, hand it back, and like,
yeah.
But yeah, it's what you're saying about the murder mystery element. I was playing a militia member, playing Constable Lee, very inspired by Crouching Tiger, Hidden Dragon. So I was walking around kind of this kind of samurai style armor and like robes, and basically we were going around investigating crimes as like fantasy militia. It was great.
Right. Cool.
So basically, we can go up, we will vest them, like, you know, like, or rather hit them with the head, the flap of the sword, going, right, okay, bashing damage, okay, you're down to 0, right, you're knocked down, right, we carry you over, get you in the cell, right, okay, we need someone from the Enchanter's Guild to come over here, cast truth on him, right, okay, you can only speak truth now, right, okay, answer questions. And we basically have to do everything by the book as well. It's like, okay, we're doing this according to the guild charter. If we do it, if we don't, we get told off and have to release the guy. And it gets really involved after a while.
I'm sure it does. I think I wanted to take photographs at a LARP event, but they refused to let me do it because I didn't have a costume and stuff. They had to sort of, you know, and I was just like, oh.
Which one was it doing on this game?
I can't remember. It was a while back. I just sort of remember asking if I could tag along just to take photographs. And like, you can if you dress up. And at the time, I was like, well, I don't have anything. I've got like some hoplite armor, but it's actual armor and it's like it's super heavy. And I was like, I'm not carrying that around. I'm taking photographs.
Everything, your armor, your weapons have all got to be LARP checked because I mean, it's very easy to get hurt.
Yeah.
If you're not wearing the proper kit. I mean, yeah, I mean, I've got some leather armor, and which I basically kind of like, you know, is medium armor, and like some arm sleeves, and like, you know, a sword. And yeah, basically, anytime I go onto the field for LARPing, it is checked by the staff.
Okay.
This is it, and each side it stamps in. No, this sword has been checked for this session, and it is fine.
Okay.
But and also they're really hot on their immersion. Even they object to even mobile phones being used.
Yeah. Well,
Because
I can understand that. Yeah, I can
yeah, I
understand.
mean, for me, it's one of the things of like on the one, yes, I agree completely. It's all about immersion, being in character, and kind of you are not in in England anymore. You're not in Earth anymore. To be fair, um, but equally, like I just want to double check that everything's fine with my wife.
Yeah, it's also
So-
you want to sort of encourage people to get into it and stuff, and
absolutely.
it's sort of a PR type thing. So,
Yeah.
but it's up to them, I guess, and stuff. But yeah, I've seen like Russian LARP battles that are
Yeah.
absolutely huge.
Yeah, well, there's two different types of LARP essentially. Well, there's three different types. There's like UK LARP, which is kind of a combination of kind of a bit of theatrical and a bit of combat. There's LARP in generally America, which leans more towards competitive elements of it. But I'm not saying that it isn't completely, but generally that's the way it leans. And in Europe, you've got what's called Nordic LARP, which is much more thematic.
All right. Okay. Yeah. Well, I saw I saw some like photographs on Facebook, I think, and it was just like they really, really had some amazing sort of outfits and stuff, and like they had like chariots and all kinds of crazy stuff, and I was just like, whoa.
I heard about this one LARP based on Battlestar Galactica, and actually hired out an old naval destroyer.
Wow.
And set the LARP inside it. So basically, you were, colonials in Battlestar Galactica in your own Battlestar.
Oh, that's awesome.
And that just sounds awesome.
Just completely random, but just because I remember it and stuff. I was walking my dog earlier today, and he sort of, I was trying to get him to come back, and he's being belligerent as he generally is, as he does, and he sort of kind of comes across these two cyclists, and one of them's like, "Oh my god, is that a Tibetan Mastiff?" And I was just like, "Yeah, Tibetan Mastiff," and so he's like, "Oh, can I stroke it?" And it's not going to bite me or anything. So no, he's cool when he's out and about, he's fine. You just got to watch it if you're in his house. He's a bit more aggressive then, but so they're stroking him and stuff. He says, "What do you call him?" And I said, "Boromir." And I went, "Oh, you cool bastard." You cool bastard. Lord of the Rings, Boromir. I was just like, yeah, man. It's like, they got the breed the breed right, and two, you called me a cool bastard. So I was just like, yeah, okay. I'm in for that. Okay, I think we're going to probably call it there, unless anybody has anything super urgent that they would like to talk about.
I'll say very, very quickly. Netflix, obviously, have had massive success with Castlevania. Definitely one of the best shows that are on the platform. They've also announced that from September, there will be a Dragon's Dogma anime series.
Okay. Interesting. Well, there's some very
perfect timing for the bike there.
Yeah, for the bike.
Sorry. Thanks, neighbours.
Also, Old School. I after being recommended last week to watch. Not Old School. Old Guard. Yeah. I watched it and that was really good. I watched it, really enjoyed it, and I believe it's broken a bunch of records.
Yeah, nice. Apparently it's like 70 million people have watched it so far since its debut, and potentially within the space of 2 months could become the most watched film ever on Netflix.
Wow.
That's good.
Yeah,
that's good.
I've got it on my list to watch, but I did watch Extraction the other day, the Chris Hemsworth one.
Chris Hemsworth.
And it's actually really fun. I really did enjoy that film. But yeah, Netflix do seem to be doing pretty well on the film slate now. That there was a time, especially when it was just all Adam Sandler stuff. It really was, wasn't it?
I thought it was just me. I was going through my Netflix, and I can't remember what, but I had nothing better to do, so I was watching Adam Sandler films, and I was like, one, Adam Sandler's done about a bazillion films, and two, this seems to be the only films that are on Netflix at the minute.
The thing is that I think they paid him originally for a 4-film contract, and I watched The Ridiculous Six, and I have to admit, I've never wanted an hour and a half of my life back so badly than after watching that piece of shit. And then there was a couple of other films which I didn't watch, and I thought, well, Netflix obviously got to fulfill this commitment. And then all of a sudden they go, oh, they've renewed his subscription for another 3 or 4 films. I thought, You fucking joking?
Yeah.
Really? Don't get me wrong. Some Adam Sandler films are brilliant. You know, if you go back to days of like
Happy Gilmore.
Happy Gilmore, Billy Madison, even The Wedding Singer. You know, he has made some fantastic movies, some great comedy gems. And then it was like, I think, got into the new millennium. He's just gone. Yeah, I can do what I want. I'll just I don't know why he's a bit cockney. But you know, it's bad, you know, and apparently he has a hand in writing a lot of these films as well. He develops a lot of his own character because that's how he prefers to play a part. And it's like, no, don't do that. And you know, apart from Uncut Gems, which was actually a really good drama film, if you do get a chance to watch it, he hasn't done a film that I could say I actually enjoyed for probably about 20 years.
Yeah.
I for me, Adam Sandler films are sort of very much sort of background. You know, I've got nothing better to do. Watch ones. I've never been to cinema or anything to see an Adam Sandler film. But you know, what was the one he did with Jennifer Aniston?
A few with Jennifer Aniston there. The latest one was that murder mystery.
Yeah, he did that one. That was all right. The murder mystery one was okay.
Yeah. Well, the thing is my partner wanted to watch it. So obviously, when I suggest a film, she suggests a film. We meet in the middle and we watch the film that she said. That's how things work. But yeah, it was all right. And the thing is, they had quite a good cast in that film as well. They even had Terrence Stamp. How the hell did they get him to agree to this movie? But then he was only in for about 10 minutes, so you kind of see it. But then, you know, they had David Walliams as well as one of the main characters. It's like, Jesus, it's so strange. But do you know, like I say, Netflix, I think, has been a big thing for the last few months. It's really helped a lot of people because, you know, the variety of content still can't be matched. You know, obviously Disney Plus on the way up. You've now got HBO Max, you've got Apple TV Plus and DC Universe, but obviously that's going away ever so quietly. But you know, Netflix, I think, still provides such a great mixture of TV and film, and there is nothing else like it, especially with things as they are now. I mean, come on, you put on ITV or BBC, it's the same crap over and over now.
Well, that's the thing. I don't have a TV. I don't have a TV license because my lifestyle with 3 children, I can't watch TV at a specific time. I can't kind of live my life around the vagaries of TV scheduling. I want to watch TV when I want to watch it. So basically, I just get Netflix, get Prime, put it on my Xbox, fire it through a monitor with speakers. That's it.
To be honest, I've got a Sky subscription, and the only reason I haven't cancelled it, because I haven't watched Sky in ages, is because the boxes are in storage and I can't find them and they want them back, so I'm literally paying for something I'm not using, and I'm like, it's just like, I do not know where these things are. They're my storage unit at the minute, and I'm just like, but you know, I just don't think after I get my new place, I don't think I'll probably go back to Sky. The only reason it was keeping me at the time was Game of Thrones and the sort of the DC sort of series and stuff. But I'm not really bothered. I watch Netflix, or I find myself just watching random documentaries on YouTube now. Or Magic, and like I'm really into Fool Us, Penn and Teller's Fool Us.
That is good.
So I watched that on YouTube loads. So
because that was on years ago on ITV, and then they brought it back over on the CW in America. And it's still really entertaining. And but then speaking about magic stuff on Netflix very quickly, the one about the magician, you know, the behind the like the magician's secrets or something like that. But he's like, the guy was in the mask, he does the trick and then it shows you how he done it. Mitch Pileggi was the host of the show. He was like, you know, it was like this abandoned warehouse. He goes, this magician, he's putting himself at risk.
The black mask. They got the black mask and the silver print on it.
I really can't think of the name of the show, but he's like, every episode began with Mitch Pileggi going, yes, this magician is putting always his livelihood at risk. He's going to tell us tonight some of the biggest secrets, and when you find them out, it shall call out and expose many magicians for whatever. But it was because he was hosting it. It made it feel almost very creepy. It did feel very, very weird, but it was such addictive TV. And I rewatched it a few months ago when I was looking through. It's like, Magic's biggest secret's finally revealed. That's it. But it was like it's so weird because you just couldn't help but watch it. You had to see how some of these tricks were being done because some of them were so good. And then when you watch it, it's like, Jesus, is that it? Really? It does show you.
Yep. Okay, so we're going to leave it there. I think we've had a good hour and a half. A really good chat, actually. I've got to talk about more about board games than we generally get to and stuff, which makes me happy. So
makes a difference.
Yeah. So yes, thank you very much to everybody who joined in the conversation, Will and Paddy, especially on our Facebook page, and to everybody who's listening now. If you're watching, if you're listening, you can join in the conversation. We're here most Sundays. We might change the day now and again to see if we can get some other Geek Priders on board, but generally Sunday evenings around 9 o'clock GMT. Please make sure you subscribe. We're on iTunes, we're on Spotify, we're on Google Play. Our numbers are sort of they're not like amazing or anything, but we're increasing quite each month. Exponentially, and I want to keep it like that, so keep on downloading. So if you've seen some old sort of episodes that I haven't downloaded yet, download all those old episodes and get listening and stuff, because we want to get our numbers up and up and up and up and up, because that opens up a lot more avenues for us. So yes, thank you very much, everybody. I have been Matt Geary. With me tonight has been Peter Ray Allison.
Stay safe out there.
And Jon Jo Cosgrove.
Take care, friends.
Cheers. Bye.